What is going on, you guys? Ramdy here with a brand new episode of an oral history of Marvel Legends podcast. Um, for this episode, I'm going to be recording a video portion of this as well as audio. So I'm going to put the audio into my podcast platform, which you can find in most podcast playing sites. And the video, I think I'm going to be uploading it on YouTube. So if you see this on YouTube, hello, what's going on? This is what I look like. And yeah, and if you're listening, you guys, let me know what's going on with you. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, a little bit of housekeeping and stuff like that here. I've been absent for a while, and the thing was, I wanted to try different things with the podcast, and I've been thinking a lot about it. Mind you, I was busy full time, so things got a little bit busy, and I wasn't able to do or make things for this podcast. However, I've been trying to think of different ways to make the podcast a little bit more unique and all that stuff, and I realized that having a podcast about action figures really is a visual thing, and it's so hard to convey all of this stuff just orally, you know what I mean? So I've been thinking of ways of how to integrate, I like the podcast platform. I like this long form type of content where it's just me talking about the stuff that I like, but at the same time, it's kind of hard, especially if you don't have a visual. It's hard to get a good idea of the stuff that I talk about. And mind you, I'll be honest, I listened to my podcast episodes, the previous ones, and I realized that I start tuning out a little bit because um, it's hard to describe things. You know what I mean? I get a little bit carried away with, I don't know, just uh, talking too much, that kind of thing. And um, so I'm just trying to think of different ways to liven it up, and I think video is probably the best. So, like I said, I'll be making a video, which is what I'm doing right now. I've got a camera head in front of me, and I'm also capturing the audio for this. So you'll have to forgive me because I'm probably going to be forgetting that I'm doing both mediums. And what the challenge for doing a video podcast where you take the audio out and put it into your into a turn it into an audio podcast basically is that I forget that people don't know what I'm talking about, and if I have it in front of me, uh, I forget that I have to be a little bit more descriptive of the figure that I'm holding, because you can't necessarily, you know, see this, see what I'm holding, especially if you're listening to it. So you'll have to forgive me. It's going to be some growing pains. But this is the trial run. This is the first time I'm doing this, like literally the first time I'm doing this. So I might not even be uploading this. And if I am, I guess that means I'm confident enough in the content to be able to make this happen. Anyway, um, with it's the end of the year, and I think all of the collectors, Marvel Legends collectors that I know of, anyway, a lot of them do a countdown of like the best figures of the year kind of thing, and like that's the kind of stuff that I like. I know it's a little bit cliche to have countdowns at the end of the year kind of thing, but it's good. Like it allows you to reminisce, to reflect on the figures that you've collected, and to appreciate them a lot more. I'm focusing on Marvel Legends, hence the name of this podcast. And I'm going to be, in the next couple of episodes, I'm going to be exploring the different Marvel Legends that we've gotten since the beginning of the year. Technically since December, because the very first 2021 Marvel Legends wave we actually got in December of last year. Yes. Anyway, for those of you who are not watching and listening in, I do have this video switcher that I have on me here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be switching from my camera view to uh, the website figurelist.co. That's it. Figurelist.co. So this is basically a screen grab of the website Figurelist, and we're going to be taking a look at the 2021 complete checklist that they have, and we're going to be um, taking a look at the figures. And I guess in this episode, I'm going to be taking a look at the first 3 or 4, depending on how long it's going to take. First 3 or 4 waves for 2021, and just kind of just a roundup, or give you an idea of how I felt of the waves. So if you guys can see my screen, I've got the Spider-Man Stilt-Man wave right here is the first wave that we got in 2021, followed by the House of X wave, the Tri-Sentinel or Theta Sentinel wave, and then Shang-Chi, the Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure wave. So we're going to take a look at those. If you guys are not following figurelist.co, I do find them to be the most thorough in terms of making a complete list of the figures, for figures like, or for figures for people like me who are practically completists. I'm trying not to be. More on that in a bit. I do like having this as a reference. So let's click on the first wave, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse wave, the Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure wave. And in this wave, we have the Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure, and we have Frogman, that's a comic figure, Hand Ninja, also a comic figure. And then we got, I think the rest of them are Into the Spider-Verse figures. So we have Peter B. Parker, we've got Prowler, we've got Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, and we have the Miles Morales. So overall, I think this wave is pretty good. It's decent, and it's a good start to the year. I am a huge fan of Into the Spider-Verse. I think people kind of don't mention it when they talk about the best Spider-Man movie of all time, but I will admit that this is the best Spider-Man movie of all time, followed by Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. And actually, you know what? I think No Way Home is probably my second one now. But that's a different topic for another time. Into the Spider-Verse is still my favorite Marvel Legend. And, oh, sorry, did I say Marvel Legend? My favorite Spider-Man movie. But anyway, going back to this right here, I do find the Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure wave to be pretty good in selection. I like the figures that we got from the movie. Peter B. Parker, Spider-Verse Miles Morales, and Gwen Stacy, they're must-haves for sure. It's nice that we have Spider-Ham as an addition to Gwen Stacy. The problem with Spider-Ham, however, is that he's not articulated at all, aside from, I think, the neck. Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. If you guys are watching, here he is. I do like that he's an accessory, but he's just not very articulated. The Prowler is also very good. It's built on a couple of like reused parts. I think that's like the Doctor Strange torso and the I think it looks like the Bucky cap legs. But anyway, pretty good for what it is. I do wish that we got a few more figures from the movie. Would have been nice to get and yeah, Aunt May, because she was actually pretty cool. Would have been nice if we got Spider-Man Noir as well, and Kingpin, or Doctor Octopus would have been really cool too. So maybe we'll get them in a future Into the Spider-Verse wave. By the way, one thing that I can do, if you guys are watching this, I can do a picture-in-picture. So let me adjust that. So now my face is at the bottom left corner of your screen, and it looks like I'm looking at the screen. So, or at the list at the figurelist.co website. Anyway, overall, pretty good wave. The one standout, I think, the runaway hit for this wave is Frogman. Um, Mind you guys, I don't live in the States, I don't live in Canada, so I have no idea actually how well these figures have sold. Because here in Thailand, where I'm from, or where I'm currently at, you have to pre-order these because getting them at retail would mean paying like 150% of the actual North American retail prices. But if you pre-order, it's a little bit, just a little bit cheaper than that, like 120%, which is not bad. Um, yeah, so I have no idea how well these did. I do have a couple of hand ninjas. I'm not a huge fan of them. There's something about them that's just, they don't feel like they're built well. There's something about the tunic that they're wearing that it just seems like the torso is too small. They can't put their arms down, and they're just way too tall. Honestly, the I guess I have the articulated icons ninjas to compare them with, and I do prefer those guys much better sculpt, better articulation on those guys, and better modular reliability. Is that even a thing? Where you can swap out arms and like heads and hands, weapons, and all that stuff to have different ninjas. What I do like is that they put um, stilts, uh, the stilt extenders for Stilt-Man with a hand ninja, so that if you army build the hand ninja, you can just grow your Stilt-Man longer and longer, which is a really cool idea that they have. I do have, let me turn around and check. I do have 4 hand ninjas, but I only have, I bought the other 2 hand ninjas loose without the legs, so I only have 2 of those extenders to extend my Stilt-Man. Um, and I don't really pose Stilt-Man any taller than just like like one of those extensions because of how um, it's just not balanced when you stack up all of those legs. It just doesn't it doesn't balance. It gets thrown off kind of thing. So I like for it to have a little bit more stability and to fit into my um, what do you call it? My detolf behind me. So I have those extensions, but I don't have them on. So yeah, overall pretty good. Frogman. I forgot to mention Frogman. Frogman is probably my favorite out of this entire thing. I do like the Miles Morales figure and the Gwen Stacy figure, but I would say Frogman is just a standout because of how weird and unique and awesome he is, and like how he's lime green and he just sticks out. He's just this cool figure that just sticks out, and what an awesome reuse of the Doctor Octopus, because it's basically all Doctor Octopus. Even the back of Frogman, you can see like the little uh, slots where the Doc Ock's legs are supposed to go, but it's cleverly covered by Frogman's backpack. I don't remember if Frogman had that kind of backpack in the comics, but pretty clever nonetheless. So, yeah, pretty good wave. I do have all of them, and I enjoy most of them. Although, the thing with the Into the Spider-Verse figures is that I really don't know where I can put them because of they're not quite MCU and they're not quite comic, so they're sort of just in this limbo of not sure where to put them. I did put Peter B. Parker and Miles Morales in my Spider-Verse shelf, which I'm actually staring at right now because it's in front of me on my desk here. But the others, not sure where to put them. So that's that. Let's move on, you guys, to the Tri-Sentinel wave, the House of X, actually Theta Sentinel, not Tri-Sentinel wave. And disclaimer, I have not read the Powers of 10 House of X storyline. And yes, it's my fault. And and yeah, so to me, I got all of these figures as well, and I completed the Tri-Sentinel Build-A-Figure, but I don't know the context of any of these guys right here. So to me, they're just purely, I got them for the aesthetics and the fact that they're X-Men. And yeah, overall, the Tri-Sentinel Build-A-Figure was cool but frustrating. I'll say that. The heads have they are surprisingly not very articulate. They pop off really easily. They're hard to put on. Although, if you guys do have it and you have a hard time putting on, there's actually like a little, like a, what is it? Like a little latch or something on the neck part itself that you can actually use a quarter or a coin to push it into, like push the peg into the slot to connect the head, connect the neck to the body. So if you use a coin, it'll save your fingers, and it's a lot easier if you do that. The problem though is that it's top heavy, the legs are long, and for me, like over time, it's gotten kind of loose. So I've had to put I don't know if you guys know what the Kiki loose joints thing is, but I've had to put that on the ankles just to keep it sturdy. But yeah, pretty top heavy. Overall, not the best Sentinel design, but a unique one for sure, and a nice one to have um, on the shelf. As far as the assortment of characters that come in this wave, I do like. Excuse me, my voice is a little dry. I do like the new looks for Wolverine and Cyclops. They're pretty cool. Having Charles Xavier in that plain black it's okay. Magneto's fine. It's nice to have Moira McTaggart for the first time in the Marvel Legends line. And it's really cool to have Jean Grey in this outfit. This is a pretty classic outfit that she wore, like 70s or so, I believe. John Romita, was it John Romita that designed it? Dave Cockrum, you know what? I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I thought I knew. Anyway, Omega Sentinel is actually pretty good, although there's something about the leg articulation that I'm just not a fan of because it's just very old school, the legs. Anyway, I think my favorite, I don't have, it's all, there's none of them really stand out in terms of favorites. The Jean Grey, for example, there's something a little bit disappointing with the way that it was executed. There's really not a lot of articulation, mobility, especially with those with that skirt that just doesn't expand. So you're just left with a vanilla pose Jean Grey. I would say that Wolverine and Cyclops, as reused as they are, because we've seen this Cyclops in this mold before, Um, and we've seen Wolverine in that mold before. As reused as they are, they're probably my favorites from this wave. Moira McTaggart would have been really cool if she. You know what? Now that I'm looking at her accessories, if I look at Moira McTaggart, just the figure itself, it's okay. It's a lady, like a plain clothes citizen with a white lab coat. But the more I think about it, the more I'm actually starting to like her because she does have a lot of accessories that you can swap to give her different looks. So you know what? I take that back. Not Cyclops, not Wolverine. Moira McTaggart is my favorite um, figure from the Tri-Sentinel wave. Yep, there I said it. Nice to have the others though. Omega Sentinel does have probably out of all of them, uh, apart from the Build-A-Figure, has the most brand new parts. So definitely cool as well. And you know what? Like the thing with this year is that we got two X-Men waves, but the problem is that they're very story specific. Like this is the House of X, and then later on in the year we got uh, Age of Apocalypse Wave 2. And I kind of wish that we got a little bit more variety with our X-Men, especially yeah, we're getting very story specific X-Men waves here, which is not exactly the best choice in my opinion. Because if you're not a fan of Age of Apocalypse, if you've never read House of X, then the X-Men figures just aren't for you. And thing is, there's so many X-Men figures that we have yet to get. And yeah. Anyway, little rant. Not really a rant, just a thing, an observation, I guess. Um, yeah. So moving on, let's take a look at all this other stuff that we've got here. The third wave of 2021 is the Mr. Hyde Shang-Chi Build-A-Figure. Sorry, Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure Shang-Chi wave. And overall, hit and miss, I guess. This is the first wave in 2021 where I did not get all of the figures. I was only really interested in the comic and Gamerverse figures, but the movie figures I was not a huge fan of, primarily because we didn't get any context to who these characters were, unlike the House of X, where I don't have any context for the costumes. I do know who the characters are, so that's the difference. With the Shang-Chi wave, this wave came out months before Shang-Chi came out. And really, it isn't Hasbro's or Marvel's fault. It's just a thing that happened because of the pandemic, messing up schedules, messing up just distribution and all that stuff. So, you know, it went out at the time that Shang-Chi was supposed to be released or something like that. And yeah, Shang-Chi got pushed back. So when these figures came out, there was just no context. I had no idea who these characters were. Um, like, for example, Death Dealer, cool. He looks like a really cool figure. And the thing is, I have no idea who he is. And, like, I never read any books about Death Dealer in the comics, although I know he exists as a character in the comics. Katie, for example, Aquafina does remind me of my best friend, who sadly has passed away, but I like Aquafina actually, but I have no idea who she is, who Katie is. No idea at the time who Xia Ling was. And Wen Wu, like, yes, he's the Mandarin, It was kind of pretty much established even before the movie came out that Wenwu was the Mandarin. But the thing is, I don't know. I wasn't wowed by the design. So yeah. So basically, the only character that I got from the Shang-Chi movie is Shang-Chi himself, which is a pretty cool figure. Um, I did have him around. I was just taking photos of him earlier. Um, I do like the head sculpt. I am from Canada and I am Asian, so like Shang-Chi uh, means a little bit different for all of us who watched Kim's Convenience and seeing Simu Liu, Canadian, he's from Toronto, I believe. Seeing his stardom kind of just grow from like just this guy who stars in a uh, uh, low budget Canadian TV show, kind of make it huge is pretty awesome. And he was really awesome in the movie. Um, anyway, I did like his character. I like the face sculpt on the figure. It's pretty accurate. And one of the things I like about the Shang-Chi figure, actually, let me see if I can pull him out now, if I can find him. Oh, he's right behind me. There he is. Give me 1 second. Benefits of having a small office, I guess, you guys, is that I could just turn around and everything is within reach. But anyway, um, Shang-Chi, I'm holding Shang-Chi right now, the figure. I wasn't blown away by his costume at first. Um, and I think it's because Shang-Chi in the comics, I preferred in his very, um, like, Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee kind of get up, like, in his costume that's inspired by that is how I like Shang-Chi. We did get a Shang-Chi figure, a comic figure a while back, and that's his classic look with the shirtless, and he's just got the pants. That's a classic look for him, although very 70s. Never read Shang-Chi back then. Mostly read Shang-Chi, honestly, in the Marvel Knights line. But I do like his look where he is wearing the, was it Enter the Dragon? Gosh, you guys, I apologize. Um, his yellow get up from, oh, Bruce Lee's last movie, was it? Googling it right now. Game of Death, that's it. Ah, man. My Asian credibility just went down the drain. But he's okay. So Bruce Lee's Game of Death costume, if you guys are not familiar, that's that yellow costume with the black pinstripe on the side. Very similar to like a lot of comic, or sorry, a lot of costumes have sort of paid homage to that very iconic look. For example, the bride from Kill Bill has had that look. Even Iron Fist in the comics has also sported a onesie that is inspired by this look, although it was green, uh, I believe. So, yeah. Anyway, very iconic. And Shang-Chi also wore a couple of costumes that are very reminiscent to that look. Anyway, I digress. The the costume that we got from the comics just looked very plain. Not comics, from the movie. It just looked very plain. It to me it just looked like a red shirt with black pants and then shorts. But then I was watching an episode of um, Assembled, or what was the Disney Plus like behind the scenes Marvel series? I think it was called Assembled. I was watching it, and then the costume designer was actually talking about how she came up with the costume for Shang-Chi. And it's a very interesting concept, one that I never really thought of. And mainly, like a lot of this stuff right here, like it's a lot of representation of his upbringing, because you have his mom's side, which is like the dragon emblem, or sorry, the dragon scale shirt. You got the dad side. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the rings, but you got the dad side, I think, like with the pants and stuff. And then the uh, North American side of him is represented by. Does he wear Jordans? Maybe he's wearing like runners, right? So a lot of his costume is actually all the elements that make Shang-Chi who he is, which I thought was pretty cool. In the story, uh, his shirt is dragon scales, so I guess that's a pretty cool thing. I guess it would have been a spoiler to have Shang-Chi with the 10 rings around his wrists as well. So I understand why they did not include that as an accessory or anything. But regardless, you know what? I really like this Shang-Chi figure, and apart from the Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure, I would say that Shang-Chi is probably my favorite figure from this wave. Mr. Hyde himself is pretty cool. Um, it's built on the Joe Fixit that we saw last year. Last year, like late into the year, so it felt like when this came out, the Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure, I felt like we just saw this body a few months ago, kind of thing. Like there wasn't enough time for it really. So when it came out, first I thought, oh man, we're getting this body again. You know, like I don't, I didn't like how Hasbro kept on reusing the Hulk body, and I felt that way with Hyde. But there's like this an over thing that you put that's put on the body. Like the coat is a like a separate piece of plastic that you put over the body itself that makes it different enough from the Joe Fixit body. It's green, not blue like the previous one was, and the head sculpt is actually pretty cool. So I'm actually quite impressed with the Hyde Build-A-Figure. Now, mind you, it would have been nice if we got a head that did not have the top hat, just like how I remember him in the comics and trading cards. But regardless, pretty cool. I enjoy this Build-A-Figure. The other figures that I got in this wave are the Civil Warrior and the AI Tony Stark. And yeah, and that's it. And then Shang-Chi. Um, both basically just uh, repaints of previous figures. The Civil Warrior was repaint of the old Hydra cap. Um, I don't remember officially what it was called now, but the Hydra Captain America armor. This is just a repaint of it. I'm actually like, this was expected that we were gonna get this guy because that Hydra cap was the Civil Warrior in different color palette, you know. So um, that's that. And then the Tony Stark AI. It's nice to see Iron Man in the classic bright red and bright yellow. Uh, Although I'm not as wowed by it as most people seem to have been, because I am very content with the 80th anniversary um, Tony Stark, sorry, Iron Man that we got. So, and at the time, I don't remember, but there were a couple of figures that already came out that used this body. Um, Iron Man 2020, yeah, Iron Man 2020. And I don't remember who else at the top of my head. Oh yeah, Silver Centurion, I think. Yeah. So wasn't terribly like blown away by it, but I still enjoy having it, and I do have him in my Iron Man display. And the Civil Warrior, not sure where I'm gonna put this guy. Like I don't have him on my shelf. I have him in my storage bin because I don't have a place for him. I just like his design, and that's that. And and so those are the first three waves that we got in 2021. And in a future episode of this podcast, I'll be talking about other figures and waves as well as we count down to the end of the year. Let's see, what else do we have? Let me just go back to 2021 here and tell you guys um, what do you call it? The the total waves and all that stuff. That's the cool thing about figureless.co is that they have on the side here, they have like pretty much like an overview of the year, and here on the top of the 2021 wave uh, page that they have listed that the total figures that we got this year was 147. We got 10 Build-A-Figures in total, 12 total waves. So there's two waves that did not have Build-A-Figures. One of them was a retro wave, and the other one was the Infinity Saga. And we got 42 exclusives. I don't know if that's 42 figures or 42 like sets, you know what I mean? So there's like 2 packs and all that stuff. I think they only count it as one. But anyway, we talked about the Stilt-Man wave, the Tricentennial wave, and the Mr. Hyde Shang-Chi wave. In the next episode, we're going to talk about Disney Plus, we're going to talk about Zemnu, and we're going to talk about Ursa Major. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to leave it at that, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comment section of this video if there's anything about the formatting of this podcast that I should change. If there's anything like I could add to make this a bit of a better experience, let me know as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys, and I will catch you in the next episode. Peace.